we need to stop pretending this isn't a left versus right thing. Now, I know both sides are guilty of political violence, and I would be insane to assume and assert that the right side of the aisle does not do things in their own way. But we can't keep pretending that they're the same thing. We can't keep pretending it's even close. The amount of anger, violence, and hatred that's on the left side of the aisle is unmatched. That you go on Blue Sky and other platforms and you're championing this, you're praising it, you're celebrating. That you say for months on end that somebody's going to do it. When is somebody going to do it? And you don't give the context, but you make it clear what you're saying, what you're intending. And then somebody does it, and then you boo-hoo cry me river over it, and you you're putting on a fake facade, or you're completely ignoring the fact that it happened, or even on the furthest extremes, you're celebrating and championing this. You're making this something to celebrate, as if it's a victory. This isn't a victory. And not only that, but it's so hypocritical that you have sympathy and empathy for the murderer who wants to transition in prison, or the assaulter who wants to become a woman in prison and be alongside other women. But you don't see a problem with that? That you have sympathy for so many things, but you don't have sympathy and empathy for a father or a husband, a man who just lost his whole life for discouraging violence and encouraging conversation. If this is where we're at, that we just kill people that we disagree with because we don't like their thoughts, then we're in for a rude awakening. Like, this is a path we can't come back on. We can't retreat once we go down this path. If we're solving disagreements and discourse and ideas and thoughts with shooting people, with ending people's lives, then where are we? We can't come back from that. Who gets to arbitrate that your thought is okay, that my thought is not okay? Who gets to arbitrate and dictate that? I could say the sky is blue and somebody's going to be upset about it somewhere and disagree and call that hateful or call that bigoted or call that... It doesn't matter what your thought is. There are going to be people who disagree with it. So who gets to arbitrate that? You arbitrate that Charlie Kirk gets to die? Who says? Why do you get to dictate that? You want to call it fascism, you call it nationalism, you call it extremism. But is it fascist to say, let's discuss ideas even if we disagree? Or is it fascist to take down his life, silence him by force, take away a father from kids, a husband? The left has been the party of empathy and tolerance, whatever that means. But the second someone dies, you praise it and you cite quotes from the man, taking them out of context, and you're failing to have empathy, and you're criticizing him for the empathy that he doesn't have, but you're not demonstrating it yourself. Now is your chance to stand up and demonstrate that sympathy and empathy. Where is it? Where is it? If you're so sympathetic and empathetic and you think there's a problem that he doesn't have sympathy and empathy, where is your demonstration of it? Where is it? I don't care if you're left or right. If this is what you do, this is a problem. If you're on the right doing this, you are the problem. If you're on the left or right doing this, it doesn't matter. You are the problem. If you think that it's even okay, if you dismiss it in any capacity, you are a part of the problem. That this becomes a left and right problem when it gets to this point. He wasn't an extremist. He was very central on most topics. Everybody thinks he's some major Zionist who, stands by the state of Israel. He stands by the religious history of Israel, but he was opposed to the warfare, the horrific reality of the state. Go dive deeper than whatever CNN or MSNBC threw at you. Do some research. Look some things up for a change. He wasn't racist. He disagreed with ideas. He disagreed with ideas of transgender ideology and LGBTQ ideology, but he didn't hate you. He sat down and had a dialogue with you. He understood that it was all from the perspective of mental health, that you're fundamentally broken. You're hurting. You're experiencing something that we don't understand, but we just disagree with the manifestations of that. The sad thing is, it had to resort to his death over thoughts and ideas. Thoughts and ideas. Like, I can't fathom that thoughts and ideas are ending people's lives. I disagree with so many people that I get kind of angry that they have the opinions they have, but never once would it equate to any sort of violence, harm on them and their family. It kind of breaks my heart that this is where it ends up. We're ending up here. How? How did we get here? It all comes back to the reality that it's not flesh and blood. You can get mad at people all you want, but at the end of the day, there's something deeper going on here. When there's Christian conservative kids that I went to high school who are more Christian and more conservative, or they used to be more Christian and more conservative than me, and they looked at me and were concerned with, oh, you're being too worldly, you're being less like Jesus, you're cussing, you're like things that I'm now ashamed that I ever did. But they looked down on me or like judged me or like they saw the flaw in me for good reason. And then now they're transgender and they're saying things like, Charlie Kirk, good riddance, you're dead. Good riddance. And they're praising and championing that. What happened? Oh, you became trans and now you hate everything you once stood for. You once used to be the most compassionate person in the world, but now you're wishing death and harm on other people? This happens time and time and time again, that little kids get shot up at a school. They die because somebody didn't like ideas. Because there's something spiritual behind that they don't like the ideas that are being shared. If you're Christian, conservative, any sort of voice that's contrary to the culture, there's something spiritual that's trying to shut you down. And it's latching on to ideas like LGBTQ. I have a family that's LGBTQ, family that's transgender. I don't think them as human beings are the problem. Like every single one of us are the problem. If you want to look at that and I want to point out the issues that so-and-so has, I've got my own issues. The problem is not the people involved. It's the spiritual forces behind it. We're fighting a war that a lot of us don't know how we're going to win. If we keep going down this path, there's no coming back. If you even care about sympathy, empathy, and these ideas that the left seems to purport and promote and encourage, then it has to stop here. You can't praise this shooter as if it's a good thing. This can't continue to happen. This is a left versus right thing, unfortunately. More so radical left versus common sense and sanity, but this can't keep happening. We can't keep championing this as if it's a good thing. Innocent people are dying. I won't stop speaking out about it. I won't stop saying what I need to say. This is where we're at. We can't come back from it. We need to change this narrative.